We're live here. Hi, folks. I am here with Luke from Down from the Attic. If you
Hello.
didn't check, hey, man, it's good to have you back. It's good to see your face.
It's good to be back.
Oh man, I'm happy to have you now on video. Now he was one of my first guests on Saturday Morning Sam Flange when we started doing a simulcast of iTunes and YouTube. If you did not check out that episode, you really need to. Luke is a very awesome guy, and I'm so happy that he's decided to come back on my channel. And if you haven't already, if you're a board game fan or just an old toy fan, you like nostalgia, Luke's channel is where it's at. The man is masterful in his editing ability. He makes AAA, graded by more. I'm saying 2 thumbs up on all his videos here. They're just amazing. They look stunning. They're very entertaining. Like I said, and we talked about this on the podcast, but even toys or comic books that I never knew Beano. I've never heard of Beano. I'm from the U.S. and
Very British.
I loved it. I watched the entire. At first, I thought, "Oh, Beano, I don't know this one." But I always watch your videos. I said, "Well, I'll watch it, maybe do something else." Man, I was engaged. I was engaged the whole time because you also write them out. They're scripted as well, and they're done really well. So, again, you gotta check out Down from the Attic. I'm going to plug that every once in a while. But Luke is a huge vintage board game fan, which is something that I am as well. Now, my mistake, because somebody didn't tell Norm until just a few minutes ago that we were doing this. So Norm could be extremely busy, but the idea was have Norm from the Board Game Museum come on as well. I promise you I'll do better planning. Just I've been in between 2 little girls this morning on and off, and I forgot. I forgot to text him. I assumed I had, and then when I sat back down here to set things up, I was like, I texted Norm. I know I did. No, I didn't. So if Norm joins us later on, that'd be great. But what we're going to do is we're going to be talking about vintage games, kind of like a wish list. Here are some vintage games that we'd really like to have. I was able to come up with a few. Luke has a billion here. And you know what? Since Luke can be very creative, and he's probably going to give me some ideas of games I've never heard of before. So, Luke, what is one of the vintage games you would love to have?
I would love to have a copy of Feed Me. It's a Milton Bradley game. And I had this as a kid, and I'm pretty certain I picked it up from a charity shop. And it's like this game never existed. There's not a single copy available on eBay, on Board Game Geek. It's impossible to find. But it kind of works a little bit like Crocodile Dentist. So the whole presentation of it is just beautiful. It looks like Audrey 2 from Little Shop of Horrors. It's a plastic plant in a pot, and you've got to put little pellets of food pellets into its mouth. And kind of like Crocodile Dentist, kind of like Buckaroo, there's a certain weight of those pellets, and if you put one too many in, bang, it closes, grabs your hand, and it's a really awesome looking game.
I can attest to that because I have also been looking for that for you ever since then. And we just laughed earlier going live because we both saw something. Someone is selling a picture of the game. You can't get the game, but at least you can have this picture of the game to wish you had it. Maybe frame the picture, put it up on your board game shelf. I don't really know the purpose of that.
Probably as close as I'm getting to getting a copy.
I know, for real, right? That's awesome. All right, so one of mine that I kind of like, that I kind of had my eye on, is called Fun City. Fun City is basically, it is roll and move in a way, but you're not rolling exactly. You're, when you are moving or something, I love mechanics in my games. There's this little, I don't know what it is. It's a block. It's a plastic building. It's called Fun City Bank. And you press the top, and the clock on the bank will time down. Now, you never know how much time you have. It could be 10 minutes log off, 30 minutes log off, or an hour logs off. But the thing is, though, when it goes down to whatever time, midnight or whatever, the game is over. So you don't even know how many moves you have to get around town, to get different things. There's also an old woman called the Slog, S-L-O-G. I don't know what it stands for, but she stops your movement. It's just weird. It's an odd game with that little fun bank mechanism. There's another friend of mine, Bauer from Bauer's Game Corner, Forrest Bauer, if anyone knows him. He did a review on it once, and I was like, that's interesting. He was wondering if his bank was busted, but then he realized, oh no, this is to keep you guessing because you don't know how much time is going to go off the clock. So you may have to hurry up and because you're trying to make it to different spots around the board, but you want to use your time properly. And it just looks like an interesting game. It's super cheap to find. So I thought, yeah,
sounds a bit like a Megavirus where you've got a constantly ticking timer. Yeah.
Right. And Megavirus just blows me away because I never know the electronic games in general, just they're magic to me still. Yeah. And that day and age that we came up with, I still think electronic games, I mean, sadly, we're never going to do electronic games anymore. There's an app for that, right?
Exactly.
We develop an app, which is fine. I mean, to be honest, I checked out Fireball Island's app recently. Have you looked at it?
Yeah, they've got. When I checked on it last, they had background music that you could play. So you had like jungle music. And
yeah, they have jungle music. That was nice. That was a nice addition. It starts off with a helicopter.
Yeah.
You know, and I thought that's kind of neat. And so I do enjoy apps to games, but it's nothing compared to the electronic version of a game that followed your movement. Omega Virus followed where you were, what items you had, and what items you didn't have, and what items you would lose. I mean, they would determine all this. I mean, it's every time I play any of my old electronic games, I'm so thankful for each one because the ingenuity and creativity that went into these are just astounding, even today for me.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, you think about it, it's like it's for kids to play with. Yet someone's gone to the extent of designing and programming this little box that tracks everything, every key card you own, every bit of equipment. It's so clever.
Yeah, no, it is very clever. And I know that, well, I think, didn't Restoration Games say they were bringing back Omega Virus 2?
I've heard it's the Dark Tower they're bringing back.
Dark Tower, I know, but I think Omega Virus may be on their list too. Either way, it'll be bittersweet when it comes out because I know it's not going to be an electric version. It's going to be just.
I got my copy though. I know which one I'll be playing more of.
No, I know. Me too. Okay, so that's one of mine. So go for it. What's another one of yours?
Another one of mine is Mysteries of Old Peking. It's an old Milton Bradley game. It's sort of like a mystery Ludo sort of game. The artwork's beautiful for it, and you've got each got little notepads where you're taking clues as to this mystery that's going on. It's spectacular. It's all themed around sort of like Chinatown and Peking, and it just looks beautiful.
I'm looking at it now.
Yeah, it's really nice, isn't it?
Wow. I never heard of this game. Of course, you're going to come up with a game. I knew you would. So it's a detective game, right?
Yeah.
You're trying to figure something. Wow. Never heard of that. That is really awesome. That's really good. Cool. Man, okay. Neat. Neat.
To find with all the pieces.
I learned stuff. Is it difficult to find?
With all the pieces, yeah.
See, if you're looking for it, it's probably difficult to find. I have a few that are on my list that are difficult to find, but not this one. This one's very common. It's just that I don't want to pay anything for it because I passed it over. Well, let me get over it. The game is called This Game is Bonkers.
Oh, I remember that.
And and you're
thought of that in years.
Yeah, there you go. And you're playing cards on the spaces that you and so the spaces will always be different every game because you're gonna be playing different cards on those spaces. It'll be move up, move down, turn around, switch spots with another player, stuff like that. And so eventually every spot, first off on the board, every spot is blank. But every time you stop, you play a card on that spot. Or you pull a card out and put it on the spot. I remember Norm reviewed this, and ever since then, I've regretted it because I saw it for like $1. I mean, it was complete, and I thought about getting it, but then I didn't understand what the game was because I didn't read the rules. And I went, oh, this doesn't, because I looked at the blank board and I went, oh, this is boring, and the blank little pieces. And I thought, oh, well, this is not a good game then. And then Norm reviewed it like a month later. I was like, oh man! So we went back to that little flea market, and it was gone. And I was like, oh no! So I've been looking for it because I know I've seen it at flea markets for like pennies on the dollar, and online it's cheap too. But I was like, well, if I can get it for pennies at a flea market again, so I'm on the lookout for it, but only if I find it at a flea market, which is wild because now that I'm looking for it, it's nowhere.
It's always the case, though, isn't it?
Yes, and I swear I saw that game several other several times, passed it over because I didn't know what it was. And shame on me for not looking into it. But when Norm reviewed it, I was like, oh, that is fun. That is a fun game. So that would be one of mine. Okay, next.
Oh, right. There's a game I've been looking for, and there is one on eBay at the moment, but it's a bit pricey. It's called Creep's Castle.
Creep's Castle?
Yeah, and this one really appeals to me because it kind of fits into something that I collect anyway, which is ball bearing games. And it's a board game, beautiful 3D plastic thing. It's quite deep as well. So you start off at the bottom and you work your way up this castle. But there's certain squares which will activate the traps. And you set a ball bearing going down this thing. And the ball bearing has a multiple routes inside the castle that it can travel down. And it activates all these different trapdoors and paddles that flick your pieces off. And it just looks amazing. It looks really simple to play, simple kids move and roll game, but those sorts of mechanics, it's just because it's all hidden away, it just looks magical to me.
I'm looking at it with that random element. Of course, you're a ball bearing guy.
Oh yeah.
And with that random element of you don't know where it's going to go and what's going to happen to your piece to go flying off the ring. Again, another very creative idea for a board game, and it looks really cool. 3D plastic. Did you play this as a kid?
I had a friend who owned it, and
okay.
It was one of those ones where I was like, what was the name of that game? And you start searching for castle-based games, and you end up with like Ghost Castle and all sorts of like Witch and stuff like that. It's
right.
Not that one. And now I've found it. I'm going to keep searching for a reasonable priced one, I think.
It has the werewolf, the mummy, all the Frankenstein, all the generic classic monsters there too.
Monsters, yeah. It looks really cool.
That's really awesome. That's really awesome. Okay, another one for me, and this is a weird one for me, and I don't know why I like it, but Park and Shop. Park and Shop was created by a guy who owned a shopping center back in like the 50s or something. And he decided to create a board game about his shopping center where you're trying to find a parking space first, and they have these little plastic cars, and then your man goes shopping around the area and then back to his parking space with everything he needs. And the first printing, there's a very short first printing, and then I think Milton Bradley took it over and did a larger printing of it, but that's how it got created. He said, well, let me make to promote my shopping center of, this is back in the old school outdoor. Well, now we're back to outdoor shopping centers now in the U.S., but outdoor shopping centers. He said, I'm going to make a game about it.
It sounds a little bit like Mall Madness.
It is. I know it's it's probably a slower version of Mall Madness too. When I think about it. Probably Mall Madness is way more streamlined too. But just when I read the history of it, I was like, see, that intrigues me. The guy thought a board game would be good to a good promotional tactic to get people to come shop at his shopping center. I would love to see. I mean, I know an original would be worth too much for me to pay, but I'd love to see one and see what his idea was. I'm sure it's roll and move. I'm sure that's all it is.
Yeah.
But still, I'm just the history behind it intrigues me. And the plastic cars, I looked for it for a little while. I found it for okay price, but I was like, I need to find it super dirt cheap because I don't think it's going to be that good of a game. And I think the cheapest I found it so far has been like $50, 40 or 50. So nice. Yeah, it's nice, but it's like, it's probably just a roll and move. So I may hold off on it, but still it's a game that, if I find at a flea market, I'll definitely pick it up. Jamie said that he found Bonkers at Goodwill for $4 a month ago. See, that's what I'm talking about. I know it's somewhere out there for a couple of bucks. And then CGH says any board game is better than The Rise of Skywalker. Luke, have you seen The Rise of Skywalker?
Not yet, but I've seen the reviews.
Oh, it's getting hammered.
Yeah,
it's getting hammered. I had a buddy of mine tell me that he said there's just so much cheese in it, a lot of cheesy stuff, and and it just doesn't make sense when it felt like they didn't know how to end it. So here's an ending that a fan wrote once. Yeah, there is a rumor that there is a guy way back in the old 2000s who said he had George Lucas's scripts for 7, 8, and 9. And the ending of 9 is very similar, I heard, to how this one ends. So you're like, did they do it on purpose? Did they? I don't know, but I've heard some. The reviews haven't been kind.
I've heard it's quite a packed script. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be laid out and explained to the audience to make sense of everything. I mean, The Last Jedi kind of wrote the whole universe into a corner. I watched that film and I was like, where on earth can they go from this? There's
It's like
rebels left.
They had to make up something so they could explain this, and then make up like, oh, this has always been there. We just never explained it, and here it is. Exactly. And here's this. It's like that. When we went on camps as kids, there was this game you'd play where you'd start off to tell a story, and then someone else would continue it, and then you'd go around the campfire, and everyone would continue, and then the story was, they'd go off the rails.
Yeah,
because everyone had their own vision. And someone told me that's exactly what this feels like. It feels like they started in this direction, went this direction, ended here. It's like, who wants to catch the ball next? Okay, you catch the ball, and now you tell me what happens next. Okay, now you throw the ball to someone, and they'll tell me what happens next. So, kind of random.
You can't really start a trilogy without knowing your start and end points, and that's basically where it's failed. If you ask me.
Now, at the same time, I do have one of my friends who said he did enjoy it, but that's because he hated The Last Jedi so much. He said it wasn't Last Jedi, so I loved it. I was like, okay.
Yeah, but that's not massive praise, is it really?
That's not. Not at all. But anyway, okay, so what is another game for you?
Okay, so this is one I've been hunting for purely for around this time of year, actually. It's Home Alone 2, the board game. And it looks amazing. It looks kind of cheap, the board game art is nothing to write home about, but it's a mousetrap style game themed around all the traps in Home Alone 2. So like you've got the tool chest falling down the stairs, you've got the toilet exploding. It looks amazing. I really want to play it. Basically, I just want to build it and set this thing up and watch it going,
As a mousetrap and ball-bearing fan, this is a game that's right up your tier. I did know about this, and I did have a chance to pull the trigger on Home Alone 1 and 2 for a decent price. And I didn't because at that point, my wife is a huge Home Alone fan. In fact, there's some kind of card game, Home Alone card game that's out right now?
New one, yeah.
We just saw it at Target here, and I didn't know anything about it. I said, well, let's pass it for now. My wife's like, ooh, Home Alone. But I almost got to the Home Alone vintage games and 2. But for me, you love Mousetrap. As a kid and maybe as an adult, that thing was hard to set up for me because I'm stupid. And I got ticked off when it didn't work properly, which happened a lot. It would stall, or the man would not flip into the pan. He would just flip off the little pedestal and fall over. So I looked at that. I was like, oh, that looks like a headache. But it is incredible, and I'm glad they went above, because Home Alone 1, I think, is basically roll and move in a way, right?
I think so, yeah. You're basically going around the neighborhood protecting the houses from the wet bandits.
Yeah. Damien asked, has anyone tried Murder, She Wrote, the board game? Currently one of his favorite finds.
Never even heard of it.
You've never heard of it? Okay.
No.
Damien, I had the game, played it a lot, loved it, had a great time. And then the problem with that for me is no one remembers Murder, She Wrote, except for me and a few others.
I thought it was a program.
Okay, yeah, it's a great game where someone is the killer. Everyone else is Angela Lansbury, and you're taking these discs and replacing. If it says they're alive, if you're Angela Lansbury, you have to place it with another alive token, but no one can see it because it's all face down. If you're the killer, you have a choice: keep them alive or kill them. Now the thing is, though, every time you visit a house, you have to put your little ring on this little track, and the ring will just get bumped down as more people visit the house. So you're saying, wait a minute, I just went there. They were alive. Now they're dead. Okay, who were the 3 people who visited since I've been there? These 3. So one of these is the killer. So the killer has to go around the board killing, I think it's, and correct me if I'm wrong, Damien, but I think it's like 4 people or maybe 5 people. There's like 10 on the board. And if they do kill off that many people, then they got to run to the edges of the board to escape. Now you're thinking, okay, well, I'll just wait for someone to run to the edge. Well, also at the edge is where you have to go if you think you know who the killer is. So are they going to the edge of the board game because they know who the killer is, or are they the killer? We've had some fantastic games, but I'll tell you the reason I gave it away, Jamie, is we played it one time and the killer was so nervous about being caught that he didn't kill anyone for like the first 20 minutes. Do you see the problem here? He would not. There was always someone following him behind a house, and he thought, oh, well, he's going to find out this guy's dead. Well, dude, there's other people who visit the house. They could, but he didn't want to get caught, so he wouldn't kill anyone if he had someone follow him inside a house. And we were playing with a lot of players, the maximum amount, I think. And after 30 minutes, I was getting kind of tired. I was like, well, everyone's alive. Everyone's alive. He hadn't killed anyone yet because he was too nervous to be caught. I was like, okay, stop. I said, whoever is the killer, you need to start killing people. That's the whole point. And so the game just drug out for like 2 hours until it was just way too much for me. And so I gave the game away. So that's why I gave it. But I have played it. It's good. But if the killer doesn't do killings, it's going to be hard. And I've had some amazing games with Murder, She Wrote. Jamie says that Matt loves the I Love Lucy board game. Yeah, I did a review, Luke, once about the I Love Lucy game. It is the worst game in the world. The world.
It can't be any worse than the Neighbours board game. So
the Neighbor.
It's you had this TV program over in America, but there was this in the 80s, this soap opera called Neighbours from Australia. And for some reason, we got it over here on the BBC, and they brought out a board game for Neighbours where you go around the board and you make a story up, like a script story for an episode of Neighbours. And it sounds just as interesting as what you think it is. It's beyond boring. It's like what we were saying before about, where someone starts off a story and then someone else continues it. But it's got characters and plot threads from a 30-year-old TV program no one remembers. And I mean, the funny thing is most of the people in the show are either dead or, the people playing those characters are probably dead now as well. So it's pointless. It's totally pointless.
I Love Lucy is you're basically rolling the dice and moving around this board that literally snakes back and like the whole board is a space. And they try to fit as many spaces on the board as they could, so the path is always winding back and forth, up and down, up and down, up and down, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, all the way up. And you got to answer trivia questions, or you got to do a little dance, or you got to. It's not even a party game. It's not even fun. And then if you don't, you move all the way back. There's pieces that make you move all the way back to the number 20. There's 100 spaces on the board. Move back to number 27. Oh no, it's a 6-sided die. It's gonna take me forever to end this game. And then you're eventually cheering for someone to end it. It was a horrible game. It was a horrible game. And I made a pretty funny review on it when I reviewed it. But anyway, one of the games I'm looking forward to. I don't have any Play-Doh games, meaning they use Play-Doh characters. I love, Luke, you did Grape Escape, correct?
Oh, great. It's brilliant.
Grape Escape is probably one that I love. There's another one called Splat that Norm reviewed where you're splatting bugs. That seems neat. But the one to me that seems interesting, another one I'm looking at, is Hawaiian Punch. Hawaiian Punch is a drink, but they also made it a board game where you're taking the Play-Doh molds and making the little Hawaiian Punch guy. And, of course, there's places on the board where you punch him, you smash him and everything. So, kind of like the old commercials for Hawaiian Punch, the guy would wheel back and slug the guy, because Hawaiian Punch, I'm going to punch you. And then I guess violence in a cartoon like that, you're not supposed to hit someone when they ask for Hawaiian Punch, I guess. But I don't know. And that just interests me. Plus, I have good memories about Hawaiian Punch. So that's another easy game to find. I just don't want to pay the online cost. I just want to find it I know there's some, yeah, say what?
Is it a vintage game?
Yes, it is a vintage game. Old Hawaiian Punch game. It has the old Hawaiian Punch cartoon characters on it. And I thought, yeah, that one I'd like to play. CJH says, what about Mystery at Hogwarts? CJH, if I had $1 for every time someone asked me about that, everyone must love. I never played that game, Mystery at Hogwarts, but I hear a ton of people ask me, do you have that game? Are you going to review that game? Please review that game. I'm not that big a Harry Potter fan. Plus, I I wasn't a kid when Harry Potter came out. I like Harry Potter. I love Harry Potter. I like the story and everything, and I watch the movies, but I never played the game. Luke, did you ever play Mystery at Hogwarts?
I didn't. No. I played. It's an impressive board. You sort of build up the castle. It's sort of like a half cylinder, and you've got different floors to it where you're moving around, and there's a couple of action things as well, mousetrap style, golf castle style, where you've got little actions that you can activate certain traps. And I seem to remember there was like a moving staircase as well, which allows you to take different routes around. I can't remember the name of that one for the life of me, though.
Oh man, I mean, and you can. What if you haven't noticed, folks? Every game I'm telling Luke about, he knows another version of that type of game. The man is very knowledgeable about his vintage board games. All right, what's another one? Do you have another vintage board game?
Yeah, there's this one from Palitoy. I think it's called Treasure of the Pharaohs, and this is expensive. From 1974, you build up this pyramid on the board, and again, it's got loads of little moving pieces and traps, and it looks like a simple roll and move game. You've got to get to the sarcophagus first before everybody else and get the treasure. But there's like moving doorways and trap steps and like a wobbly bridge, and it just looks fun. It just looks like a fun vintage game to me.
I remember this. I don't know if I found it or you told me about this earlier. Have we talked about this game before? Because I did look at this game.
No,
it looks.
I don't think we have spoke about.
Okay, because I did find. I wanted to say I found it on my own, but that's usually not true. Usually someone reminds me of it. But there are these sarcophaguses that look really cool. The pawns are actually like explorers, right? They're actually shaped pawns, and I love that. That's another good thing about a vintage game. When a vintage game doesn't have the generic pawn, it means they put more effort into it. Or what I even hate worse, the cardboard stand. The cardboard stand. The cardboard stand's awful, and I'll tell you why. Those things would peel and bend and break immediately after a few plays. I mean, there's just
if you lose the plastic bit, then your figure's useless.
It's done. It's done. Yeah, its figure's useless. And then you'd have to fold it, right? You have to fold the cardboard. So if it doesn't, sometimes they made those things. They got the generic plastic holders, but they made the cardboard too thick. So then you had the problem of the game would flip. The other half of that cardboard would flip up. You're like, come on. And it was awful. It was a cheap way to push it through instead of getting plastic pawns. But when they sculpted their own pawn for that game, that was just some extra thought that went into it, and I like that extra effort.
It shows care. So it shows care for theming. So I like that sort of thing where they go the extra mile to immerse you in the game. If you've got a little figure you can find, and that's me on the board, I find it a lot more immersive.
Right. Oh, I agree. One of mine that I'm looking for is one that actually Luke mentioned is Treasures and Trapdoors. In fact, you've even reviewed this game.
Yes.
I knew about the game before you reviewed it, and there's a couple of times I've had my finger on the trigger because for me, Waddington put out some brilliant games. That's Waddington, right? Am I saying it right?
Yeah.
Yeah. They did some brilliant. Now, I don't know. It's weird because I don't see much of their history online. I can't find the history of Waddington games, and
for some reason I seem to remember reading they were linked with Woolworths. Something's triggering a memory about that. They were part of the Woolworth group, and I think they were sold off 95, 96, something like that. But yeah, they have had some excellent games.
They have, and you're going to hear me name a few more here in a minute because I just really appreciate them. I was like, man, they've just put so much effort and uniqueness into a lot of their games, and they may not be good. Some of them may not be good. Like I know we talked about the Bigfoot game. It doesn't look that good, but dadgummit, it looks awesome though.
Games are theirs. Like this is another one that I'm after, which is Lost Valley of the Dinosaurs.
That's also on my list.
Stunning. It's stunning. You got this beautiful plastic volcano at the side of the board. All these you've got a spring on the back of its head, so you can swoop down, bite a player, and then lift them off the board. Why do? There's no need for it.
There's no need for it, and they did it, but it looks awesome. And as a kid, you're like, oh my gosh, I want this game. Guess what? As an adult, first time I saw Valley of Dinosaurs, I was like, I want this game. It still works today. It still works today. Okay, let me get to some questions real quick, then we'll get to by the way, folks, again, I'm with Luke from Down from the Attic. If you haven't checked out Luke's channel from Down from the Attic on YouTube, you're missing out. You're doing yourself a disservice. So treat yourself this holiday season and subscribe to Down from the Attic. Okay, so Damien says, is the ideal game Dr. Doctor any good? I don't know. Luke?
No, it's new on me, that one. I've not played that one.
Okay. Have we ever played Payday? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's one of the classics there.
Absolutely love Payday. Got fond memories of that one. It's a fun game. Find it a lot more approachable than what Monopoly is. I'm no Monopoly fan at all. I don't like Monopoly.
I'll tell you what, a Monopoly game, I got rid of my Monopoly games. The one I kept is not technically Monopoly. It is by name, but not really. Monopoly Mario Kart.
All right, okay.
Really fast, really streamlined, takes 30 minutes or less to play, and feels like a Mario Kart game. It's Monopoly. You're going around the Monopoly board, but it's quick and actually kind of fun. You know, I here in the U.S., it's at a discount store right now, and I'm kicking myself because I can't believe this game went to discount. So it's like $10 now, and I'm like, oh my gosh! I'm telling all my friends, if you like this Monopoly game, it's $10 right now. Okay. Well, I'll get to the rest. Let me get to some of these other. Curtis Shannon says, Matt, you're a beautiful man. Keep what you're doing, my guy. Hey, yeah, thank you. Good comment. Good. Thanks for noticing. Okay. Sean says, hello from Detroit, Michigan. Hello, Sean.
Hi, Sean.
Guess what? I have been to Detroit. I've been to Detroit. I had a ton of fun. My biggest regret was turning down an opportunity to go to Comerica Park to go see the Detroit Tigers. I'm a huge baseball fan. But at the time, I thought, well, I don't want to see the Tigers. Who cares? And I was like, why did I pass up a chance to see the Tigers? I've regretted it ever since. I have been to Hockey Town. I am a Red Wings fan because of my trip to Detroit. I still keep up with my friends from Detroit. And, well, whenever the Red Wings, flail in the playoffs, I am always calling my, Detroit friends, and we're still howling over it. So, Detroit, if it wasn't for the snow, I'd love that place. Not much for the cold. All right. So Luke, go ahead. Give me another vintage game.
Another vintage game that I'm after is, so you've obviously seen my review and you've bought a copy of it yourself, Pro Action Football. And so I don't know if it's the same company that made Sabutio or if it's the same company that made Pro Action, but they made a cricket version called Test Match Cricket. And I'm not a cricket fan, but this looks intriguing to me. So you've got like little figures again, and you've got a little bowler, and it's spring loaded, so it actually bowls the ball, and then you've got another figure at the other end with the cricket bat and a little lever, and it hits the ball, and you play out this little game of cricket on your table. It just looks fantastic.
Okay, I'm looking at this game. I have no idea. We're in the U.S. I have no one in the U.S. knows how to play cricket. We don't even know this game.
Oh, I've no idea, cricket, I'll figure it out.
Cricket is their version of baseball in a way. I mean, it's not even baseball, but someone's throwing a ball, someone's hitting it with a cricket bat, and then running back and forth between two sticks. That's all I know. Now, I'll be honest. I agree with you. It looks pretty cool. And if I ever understood that, I mean, I understand the game of what you call football, what the world calls football, and we call soccer. But cricket, I'm going to have to take a hard pass on that, my friend. But if you review it, I am all about it, because I'll be honest, one of the best games that I truly shocked me on your channel that I discovered through your channel was that Pro Action Football.
Oh, it's brilliant.
And you are exactly right. If you do not like football, or what we call in America soccer, folks, get the game. You're not a soccer fan, you're going to love this game. It's just so stinking fun. It is
It's
so stinking
very
fun.
well designed.
Super well designed. In fact, I wish someone had ripped it off and made a hockey game, with the puck.
Yeah.
And because I'm a bigger hockey fan than a soccer fan, and I that's all I could think about. I was like, they could do the same exact thing. I mean, a puck would have to be a round ball, metal ball anyway. Yeah. But the thing is, though, the theme would basically still loosely be on there. It works better with a soccer ball. But I was thinking, man, if this was hockey, this would be even better. But it's cool as a soccer game, and I play it. And I hate soccer or football, as y'all call it. I don't like that sport. I never watch the World Cup. I'm not even interested. Even if the U.S. is doing well, I don't care. I just don't care about the sport. However, we will always play that game. And, it's just great. Just great. All right, so a few more questions. CJH says, would you ever review a Ouija board? My wife would not let me have one in the house. So, no, I would. But I don't think... Go ahead.
I'm not so sure. I mean... I'll probably have a look at it. I mean, I'm not the superstitious type, so I don't know.
Okay, I was gonna reveal this till later, but I want you to pan around your room if you would, folks. He doesn't believe in the supernatural, but I think this would attest against it. Look at this. You're looking at one of the world's biggest. And can you start that pack for? Can you just give a little demo of that pack? By the way, folks, Luke put this together. Watch.
Hang on. There we go.
See, he is ready to bust some ghost. That is. That is awesome. This is what we did before our podcast together. I just had him show me his room and everything. I was like, this is incredible. So you're looking at a huge Ghostbuster.
Oh yeah, big Ghostbusters nerd.
I can tell. That thing has a car audio in it, correct?
Oh yeah, two. So there's a car speaker here, and there's another car speaker here. And there's also, on the back of it, there's an auxiliary port, so I can plug an MP3 player in, and I can play all sorts of music out of it. It's brilliant at events. The other thing as well is, so it can switch. I don't know if you ever played the video game, but it can switch modes. So we're on slime mode now.
Wow. Wow. Look at that, folks. That is awesome.
Oh, and of course.
That's what I love.
Yeah.
I will let you know what he thinks of the new trailer in just a moment. You got a lot of people impressed by this. Damien says, I'm looking for the vintage King Kong. More of the cover art than a gameplay.
That's the one where King Kong's on top of the World Trade Center, isn't it? I think.
I don't know. I don't know that one.
I think it is. I think it came out around the time when they did the remake of King Kong in the, I want to say mid-70s. They did a remake of King Kong, and rather than climbing up the Empire State Building, it was the World Trade Center. And I think the box art for that is like Kong stood 1 foot on each tower.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That'd be interesting. That's a collector's item now.
Definitely.
Jay Valentine says, "Go Yankees! Boo Yankees! You picked the wrong New York team. I'm a huge Mets fan." Jay, sorry. Of course, your Yankees are way better than my Mets, so you can't really brag, right? Okay, all right. So anyway, another one of my games that I'm looking for is another Warrington game, Dash and Dine.
No, I'm not familiar with this one.
You're trying to get orders to tables, and excuse me, there's a salt shaker that is a timer in the game. You flip it over, and that's the time. And you're trying to go as fast as you can, move your pawn around to all these tables. The board is one big plastic board with all these tables on it. You're trying. I think they're by color too. And then there's at the kitchen there's a wheel, and you got to spin the wheel until you get what the item you need, and then put it on your tray, and then move down and deliver it. But yeah, I've always looked at that, and I've seen it a few times. But again, I'm like, I'm not going to pull the trigger on it yet. But again, it's just another Waddington game. Are you looking it up now?
I am looking it up.
It's dash, and there's an N. It's an N dash in dine. But it's pretty cool. Look at this. Oh, okay. I thought for a minute I'd stumped you. I'd stumped the master there for a minute.
Yes, I have seen this one. Never played it though.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. All right. CJ8 says, what about the action figure board game Escape the Death Star? I know about it. I know they reprinted it. I've never played it. Luke, have you played the action figure board game Escape the Death Star?
I haven't, no. The only Star Wars game I've played, vintage one anyway, is the Sarlacc pit one with the cardboard Sarlacc pit with the sail barge. It's great fun. Table presence on that is just astounding.
Is that you said Battle at Sarlacc pit?
Yes.
Yes, I have that game. I agree with you. It's pull a card, luck of the draw. It's very cut and dry. But I did recently play it with someone, a friend of mine, and we had a fun time. It table presence alone, it's amazing to look at when it's all set up. Jay says, "Don't worry, nobody's perfect." Ha ha ha! You think you're so funny because you're an arrogant Yankees fan. All right, so anyway, Luke, what is another game?
Another game that I'm after. It's another ancient Egypt one. It's called Voice of the Mummy, and I'm after this one purely because of the mechanics in it. It just blows my mind when you think about the work that's gone into this. So it's an early talking game. It's got sound effects, and I think it's from either the early or mid 70s. And the way it gets around this is so it's because it's early 70s. It's not got like programmed computer chips inside or anything like that, like a mega virus. This thing has a miniature record player, tiny, dinky little record player inside the board. And yeah, someone's recorded all the sounds onto this tiny little disc. And as you go around, certain play spaces activate the record player, and it causes the mummy to moan and talk. And it just astounds me the amount of work that must have gone into something like that.
Oh, yeah. And I wish Norm was here. Norm has that game. And Norm's reviewed the game, and Norm has shown where there's not an app. I don't think it's an app. I think it's just a soundboard of someone recorded all the sounds. Yeah. So because that's a problem, to find one with a working record player is going to cost you hundreds of dollars.
Oh yeah, it's not cheap. I've actually seen on eBay there's a guy offering services to restore your game. Wow. Like, that's how difficult it is to find one that still works. Yeah, to find one that still,
but that's so unique that they have an actual record player in the game. He's played it. Well, I've seen it. I've been over to his house, and he's shown it to me. It's incredible. It's incredible because using the technology they had back then to put a mini record player. Yeah, that's really, again, very creative. That's one of our loves of vintage board games. CJH says Epic Duels Star Wars board game. I have played it, CJH. I love Epic Duels. I think it's a fun game. Restoration Games did reprint it, but they call it Legends, and they don't have the Star Wars right. So they are doing like Robin Hood versus Bigfoot and Sinbad versus Blackbeard the Pirate or something like that, or Raptors or something. So, I mean, they've reprinted the game just without the Star Wars theme. Okay. Billy Fighter says, "Good morning, nerds." Someone said, "Phantom Menace Battle electronic board game, Battleship." Oh, the Battleship version of Star Wars. I've never played that one.
No, I've never played that either. I imagine if it's Star Wars, you've got the nice sound effects and everything. I suppose That's all you
I'm
could
sure
really.
you do. The one I had a long one with TIE fighters and X-wings and TIE fighters, I think. But I gave it to my nephews a long time ago, and they probably lost the pieces by now. Phantom Menace Monopoly Edition, no, but I had the original trilogy edition, and I just recently gave it away to a friend of mine who's a big Star Wars fan. Because, like I said, I'm not going to play Monopoly anymore. Just like Luke, I'm not doing Monopoly. There's other games out there that are so creative and so much fun. But Monopoly Mario Kart Gamer, that's the one Monopoly game I still have in my collection. All right, so it's my turn, and I am going to name another one called Legend of Camelot. Legend of Camelot is just a battle game, it looks like. I just love it because of the nice pieces. It looks like a four-way tug of war, though, so you could easily eliminate a player, which probably isn't fun for that one player, if all three people choose to eliminate him first. But the pieces alone just look incredible. There's actual plastic castles, plastic bridges. There is some strategy involved. It's probably, if I was to equate it to another game, Conquest of the Empire Light Edition. It's a lighter version of it, looks like. But that looks really cool to me. Have you heard of Legend of Camelot?
I haven't. No, it's a new one.
Finally!
I've never heard of it.
Finally! Look, folks, you don't know. Luke tells me all about. I find out a lot of new vintage games from Luke. So finally, I showed him one he didn't know. I knew I could eventually if I wore him down enough. Oh, hey, Jay's asking a great question. Did Norm ever get his issues fixed with his channel? Yes and no. If you don't know, Luke, Norm had his channel hijacked, and he just recently got it back, but it's under review because there's a lot of departments in YouTube, and one doesn't know what the other one's doing. So when it got transferred, someone flagged it in YouTube. So now he's got to go through it again to get it unflagged, his channel unflagged, so he can start posting videos again. It is a long, drawn-out process. It is really aggravating to Norm. That's why I'm trying to have him more on my channel, and I am going to get Norm more on my channel. I am going to do that next year. He should have been up and ready to go by Thanksgiving. So now here we are, almost Christmas. He's still not ready because that's the newest drama that's been going on with his YouTube channel, and I hate that for him. So and again, it's my fault that Norm isn't here because I told him too late. But I want Norm and Luke to come on more often because they're vintage board game players or vintage toy guys, or they're just all around good guys too. I mean, and I think whoever said it earlier, they don't look as good as me. You're correct on that, but at least they're entertaining. They're just as or even more entertaining than me. Actually, Luke's got to be cooler because he has that Ghostbuster pack, to be honest.
I've got that, I suppose, yeah.
You got that. You're beating me on the cool factor, that's for sure. So that's what he's got. All right, so what is a game for you, sir?
Ooh, another one for me. It's a rare one, and I can't find it over here at all because I think it was American or even Canadian exclusive. This company called Lakeside Games made this game called The Immortals of Change.
I've never heard of that.
It's the most ridiculous name. The Immortals. I mean, if something's immortal, it's not going to change. It's going nowhere, and then it's changed. But the actual game itself is very, very similar to Crossbows and Catapults, and it's basically Crossbows and Catapults in the future with robots. And you've got all these pieces where you can modularly build these robots up and battle stations. You're firing projectiles across the table at another player, destroying the robots, destroying their battle fortress. I love those sort of games. I have Crossbows and Catapults. I've got Weapons and Warriors. I've got a few of those. And this one is just another one which I would like to try, but I can't seem to find a copy over here. Shipping for a copy from the States is ridiculous. I'm talking $100 for a parcel to be shipped across. No chance.
Wow, this is one that I didn't know about either, and Norm probably didn't either. Norm is a big Crossbows and Catapults fan, and so this would be one that's right up his alley too. And it looks incredible. You have to build your robot.
Yeah,
you're right. That's part of the challenge. That's part of the strategy. Is how you build your robot.
The other thing as well is they did add-on packs as well, so you could make an even cooler robot, with all sorts of different bits
Wow.
and pieces.
Wow. Okay, so a few questions now here, Sean. Luke, we're getting lots of questions here. Sean says, have either of us played Ghostly Galleon by Wyington? I have not. Luke, you have.
It's brilliant. So you've got it. I'll tell you, Matt. You've got this plastic ship in the middle of the board, and you have to find the correct chest. So I think there's six. Might be six, might be 8 chests on the ship that. On the underside of them, they've got like either a picture of treasure or there's nothing there. And you move around and you've got to try and guess which one is the one with the treasure. But chasing you around the board is the ghostly pirate captain, and you can be thrown overboard, you can be made to walk the. It's great fun. It's just a really fun, silly Waddington's game. And again, fantastic table presence. It kind of reminds me of the Crimson Cutlass add-on for Fireball Island.
Okay.
Looks. But yeah, that's one I need to pick up.
Do you have this game?
I don't have it, no.
Oh, okay.
I have played it, and it's not too expensive to get, really. Maybe about £10-15. That's probably about $20 for you, which is nothing really for a vintage game.
Yeah. Sean says it's an enjoyable game, really neat pieces. So he agrees with you there. CJH says Jumanji. Have we played Jumanji?
Yes.
Okay, I haven't, but my wife begs me to. And this Black Friday, CGH, it was for $10 at some of the stores here. And I told her if she wanted it, she could get it. The one that I thought was even cooler was Zathuru, which is the space version. Norm reviewed that game. And even though Norm's right, it's not much of a game. It's basically roll and move and take the action. I still thought it looked really cool. So Zathuru looks cooler than Jumanji for me. But my wife is a big Jumanji fan because she liked the movie, the first original movie.
I'm the same with you, Matt. I like the look of the Zathura game because it's got that old 1940s, 50s tin toy to it, which is just fantastic. I think they brought out. I don't know if it's the base one but I've definitely seen a deluxe version which is actually made of tin, and there's little tin rockets that you can move around.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That may be the version. I can't remember, but Norm did review it, and it was very interesting. Very interesting. Okay, so he has a few other ones here. CJH wants us to know if we've read it. Star Wars Outer Rim. I have not played Outer Rim.
No clue.
And then the airline board game. I know what you're talking about. The one with it feels like it's Ticket to Ride, but with airline with planes. I have not played that one either.
I played that at Play Expo this year. It's not bad, but like you say, it feels like there's been a lot of elements borrowed from Ticket to Ride. Fun enough, but if you've played Ticket to Ride, you've more or less played airline.
And because I'm not a Ticket to Ride fan, I mean, heck, I went to a surplus store where they were just dumping over old toys, and they did have Ticket to Ride Europe or one of them. And it was like $10. I was like, nope, pass. Because I'm just not a Ticket to Ride fan. So I never even tried airline. All right. So I think it's my turn.
It is your turn.
All right. Here's one. Mystic Skull. I mentioned this on our podcast, I think. Mystic Skull is you have these voodoo dolls. You're sticking pins in them. And the board has this weird like little crane over a black cauldron and a stick that's hanging off of a chain or something of a skull, a little plastic skull. And that's what you're moving. You're spinning that thing around the board, and wherever it stops is what movement or what choice you have on how many pins you can take and put into your voodoo doll. And you're trying to get your voodoo doll full of pins or whatnot. It is a weird game. I think it's from the 70s. And it just looks incredible. Are you looking at this game?
I'm going to have to check it out. What's it called again?
Mystic Skull.
Mystic
Skull. It's the game of voodoo. I think it's a voodoo game.
Wow, yeah.
And it just looks really interesting to me. And that's a game that I've toyed with getting on and off. It's probably going to be, if I get one this year, it'll probably be like I'm expecting an eBay gift card for Christmas, and I'm expecting it to go toward Mystic Skull, a copy of Mystic Skull, or one of these vintage board games I've mentioned. But Mystic Skull looks very interesting to me.
No, it really does. I love the box art for it. That sort of hand-painted look.
Yeah. As someone who appreciates vintage art, Luke, you would appreciate that.
Oh, definitely. Oh, this looks awesome.
Yeah, look at the two. I got two that he's never heard of. Yes, I'm so happy. I feel smart now. All right. Damien says, Have we either of us played Bermuda Triangle?
No.
I haven't. Norm did a review on it. It's very interesting. You're a ship moving, and there's this storm, and the storm rotates. It rotates around the board. It's this big device that has magnets in it. Well, the ships also have magnets. So if the storm passes over the ship, it will suck up the ship, and the ship will go off the board. It'll get lost in the Bermuda Triangle. So you're trying to avoid, but of course, not every space around the storm has a magnet. So you could pass through the storm and be okay. But if you get one, because as you're twirling it around, if it catches on one of those magnets, your ship's lost. I want to play that with Norm before I buy it. I love the idea. I don't know how exciting it is, but I keep forgetting, because Norm asked me when I go over to his house, what do I want to play? And I pick games he's just recently reviewed or games I just see on the shelf. And Bermuda Triangle is one that I need to play because I do like the idea. But what if the storm doesn't get you? Well, you're just going from point A to point B. I don't know, but it still could be it's probably a lot of fun. But no, I haven't played it yet. I want to.
I suppose with games like that, it's kind of like Ghost Castle or even like Mousetrap, where there is the potential you could just go from point A to point B and nothing happens to you. But I mean, that's part of how the mechanics work. You know, you could get lucky, but you could really have a bad run of things as well as get constantly being like sucked into the storm. I kind of like the sound of this one.
I like it too. I want to play it though. All right, a few more questions. CJH, have we played Lord of the Rings: Journey to Middle Earth? No, I have not.
No, I have not played that one either. Okay,
I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan. I love Lord of the Rings. I'm probably after I finish Wheel of Time again. I'm trying to read Wheel of Time again. I may go back. My next thing may be to read the history of Middle Earth in the Silmarillion. I mean, that's how big a fan I am. So, but I haven't, to this day, I've looked at a lot of Lord of the Rings games. I don't like any of them. So, haven't found one I like yet. Damien says, have either of us played Dealer's Choice, which I have not. That's the used car game. Norm did a review on that. Have you played Dealer's Choice, Luke?
I have played Dealer's Choice. I wasn't that keen on it, to be perfectly honest.
So therefore, it's garbage, Damien. If Luke does not like it,
no.
I'm kidding. Actually, Norm was a big fan of it, and that's another game Norm wants me to play. So I'll play it and see, but I've never played it. And then he also said Masterpiece. I played the painting auction art game.
You think really highly of that, don't you?
That's great. I love Masterpiece. Any version. Norm has the 80s version. I have the 90s version. I think they're both great. They're essentially the same game. 90s looks a little bit different. The cover art, and it has a stand, that's why I got the 90s version. I wanted that stand. But the art is different, and I think the 80s version had metal clips, I think, for the art and the cards, if I'm not mistaken. Norm would know better than I would because he has the 80s version. But I remember there's a few differences between our versions. Okay, so it is your turn, right?
It is.
Go ahead.
It's another little-known Milton Bradley game, and I spoke to you about this on the last podcast we did. It's this game called Cuckoo Noughts, and it's got the most bizarre mechanic I've ever seen in a game, and I really want to try it. So, Cuckoo Noughts are basically like astronauts, and you're moving around on the moon's surface. And above the board on this arm is this little plastic flying saucer. So you've got to move your players around, but your players are solid plastic pieces, but with like a peg hole drilled underneath them. So you move onto this sort of pneumatic pump, and then at the very end, you have to land on this spot. you thump this sort of bellows, and it shoots air and rockets the cuckoo knot up into the spaceship as if it's being abducted. It's absolutely mental, but I love the idea of it.
I love the uniqueness of that theme too. We talked about this on the podcast. I love that. I love that one. Okay, so getting to the top of the hour, we're going to do one more round of this because we're going to have Luke back several times. There's tons of things we can talk about here. We're going to do one more round of this, but plus I'm going to get to that question that everyone wants to know, what Luke thinks of the new Ghostbusters trailer. So first off, my last one I want to mention is one that I will never be able to buy. It maybe if I get enough eBay gift cards from all the family, I can combine them together to buy this. Have you heard of Ice Cube?
Ice Cube.
The board game.
You'd have to describe it to me. I may have heard of it.
It may have to deal with ice cubes. Okay. You take an ice cube out of your fridge. You know how you have the make your own popsicle as a kid? Yeah. You put the little plastic tray that puts the little sticks in it. Sure. Okay. Well, they give you these little ice cube molds. It's a hat and it's feet. And you stick them on the ice cube, and so the ice cube has it's an ice cube with a hat and feet. You move it around the board, and you take turns trying to melt the other player's ice cube. The board is water resistant; it's plastic, water resistant, and you're like pouring water on it or putting salt on it, as you know, salt can melt it. Or I can't remember. There's other little things you're doing. Oh, there's a pool of water on the board, and you have to let it take a bath. And it's slowly melting, and so once your hat or feet come off, your ice cube is out of the game. It's been completely melted.
I was looking at this. This seems so sadistic. and melting this other player's piece. It's brutal.
And I like how your face is turning to pure joy too.
Yeah.
Okay, this game came out, I believe, in the 50s. It is going for hundreds of dollars online, complete. And I just can't find a copy that's decent. But I would love I think this is a game that should reprint, because there's all these cliche games coming out, right now by Hasbro and Milton Bradley, little kiddie games where the Ice Cube game would fit perfectly in that wheelhouse. It would be cost efficient to make it, and you're playing with ice cubes. Well. Yeah,
it's a really simple idea.
It's a simple idea, and it's hilarious. Yeah. It's hilarious, and I love the idea, and I want a game called Ice Cube. But it feels like it's something simple enough to where Hasbro or Milton Bradley could just pick it up and just go for it. In fact, Milton Bradley originally came out with it. It was a Milton Bradley game, I believe, when it first came out. So pick it back up, somebody. Give me another version of Ice Cube. I'd buy a reprint of Ice Cube. You know what? Restoration Games.
Get on it.
Get on it. Make me an Ice Cube game. There's no way they're doing that one. But next time they ask for a vote, I'm going to say Ice Cube. I've decided. I want that game. All right, so one more, Luke, and then we'll get to Ghostbusters.
I would really like a copy of the Haunted Mansion game from Disney. I think from Disney World or Disneyland.
Yes.
Yeah. These are stupidly rare, really expensive, because the only place you could buy them from was Walt Disney Land or Walt Disney World. You could never buy them in stores. You had to buy them from the.
It was exclusive in Disney stores.
Yes. So the whole theming of the game is beautiful. You've got hand-painted art, and you're basically playing the trip through the Haunted Mansion. So, but there's these cogs. If you've ever played, I've seen my review for Curse of the Idol, there's like 3 cogs which have got path pieces printed on it, and as you turn the cogs, the paths change, so certain routes will be cut off to you and certain new ones will open up. Well, the Haunted Mansion game was the first game to do this, and I just think it's such a really nice mechanic. And the cogs themselves have little clips to clip in, cardboard stands of the ghosts dancing in the ballroom. So as you turn the cogs, all these ghosts sort of spin and pirouette as if they're dancing. It just looks really sweet. It's but it's stupidly expensive. Very hard to come by.
We talked about this on the podcast too, and when I told my wife, she went, "I would play that." I went, "Yeah, but I'm not. I wouldn't buy that for that price.
No,
It's too high." But it is a very, and I never knew it existed until you told me. Another game I didn't know. All right, so we're done with that for now. We're going to have Luke back on to do this, but first off, Luke, what do you think of first impressions of Ghostbusters Afterlife?
I'm absolutely stoked for it. I cannot wait. If they were going to do a Ghostbusters film 30 years after the fact, this is the way to do it, I think. You've got to address why Ghostbusters haven't been around for 30 years. And it seems like they're doing that. I think it's the perfect approach. Now, I know a lot of people have been criticizing that it's Stranger Things with Ghostbusters, but I get the feeling that there's going to be, from what we've seen in the trailers, I'm guessing that's either the first third or first half of the film. I reckon we're building to something much bigger, and we'll see something a lot more in subsequent trailers, I think. I don't get this mentality of trying to show everything in the trailer anyway. I'm interested, and I want to see more.
Yeah. To me, it's a more respectful approach to the fans.
Yes.
For Ghostbusters, that's what it feels like to me. I am not an uber fan. I enjoyed the movies. I do not have any Ghostbusters memorabilia in my home. I'm not affiliated to any Ghostbusters fan memberships, but I definitely can appreciate someone who is. However, when I looked at it, I was like, okay, it looks like because the 2016 did so much to say, okay, forget about those old people. Here's the cool new 2016 version of us. And you're like, well, that's not what the fans are interested in. And all the fans who love Ghostbusters are older, and they want to see their old characters back. It's not that they were all women. That doesn't matter. The point was it didn't even stay true or acknowledge the old series. In fact, I think it was the four girls, and it had Dan Aykroyd and Ernie Hudson back saying, "Here, girls, here's the keys to the firehouse." Y'all could, if it was a more of a handoff, that would have been more accepted than what they did.
My problem with the 2016 one is it was all action, and so the big thing with Ghostbusters for me, and what I find interesting about Ghostbusters and the premise of it is it's basing it on real life history and like imagined events, but like landed in real life history. So like a derailment in 1920. There's a ghost train in Ghostbusters 2, and it's like like playing into like our world history and the possibility of these things potentially being real. That's what I find interesting. And a large portion of the films, if you go watch Ghostbusters 1 and 2 again, is on the investigative side of it, piecing together the mystery of what's happening. And I got no feeling from that with Ghostbusters 2016. We're pretty much told from the start, this is our bad guy, and he's going to do bad things. And you're going to see him get worse and worse throughout the film. Well, where's the suspense? Where's the reveal? This new one seems like they've set up like a really big mystery. This town's shaking on a daily basis. Egon's buried all of his equipment and everything in a secret underground bunker, what you get down a fire pole to get to. It's all in mothballs for some reason. Why have they done this? Why have they hidden it all away? Why have they basically gone underneath the public radar for 30 years? And what's brought them from New York to this little town in the middle of nowhere? These are all massive questions, and it gets the audience interested,
Exactly. And now I'm thinking about maybe our next collaboration should be about Ghostbusters, maybe breaking down the first, second movie, maybe the cartoon, talk about that, the toys, talk a little bit about 2016, and then talk about Afterlife when the next trailer pops out, because they're going to show even more in the next trailer. But okay, well, the missus has already peeked her head in like this. So it is time. I'm past the hour moment, actually. But Luke, I had a fantastic time. Thank you so much.
Again.
Thank you, everyone who checked it out. We appreciate the interaction. Luke, you can check him out on Down from the Attic. Please check out his channel. Vintage board games is a lot of it, but he also does vintage games as well. If you didn't check out the podcast, another one that I think you should check out is the one on the steam-powered toys. What were they called again?
Steam engines.
The steam engines is very interesting. He did one it was my favorite time of the year, is Ball Bearing Week, where he did like 7 videos all on ball bearing games, which is incredible. And plus he was posting on a daily basis, which made me super happy. And yeah, those are just a few that you gotta check out. But on top of vintage games, I know you've done crash test dummy toys and stuff like that. So
yeah.
And now I have girls crying too. So, all right. Hey, guys, thank you very much. If I don't get to talk to you in another live stream, y'all have a Merry Christmas. Luke, thank you so much for joining.
Thanks for having me.
All right, guys. We'll see you later. Take care.